So that's Shaq giving Caitlyn Clark some credit right to the face of Angel Reese. Angel Reese sitting there gritting her teeth, I'm sure.
In a twist of irony, Angel Reese isn't even a guest on the Caitlyn Clark show, which has replaced her program. Nothing could have prepared Reese for Shaquille O'Neal's appearance, where he couldn't stop gushing about Clark's abilities, from comparing Reese to a non-Hall of Famer to criticizing her layup technique. But her attempt to remain relevant has turned into a platform for praising Clark. Before we dissect this embarrassing meeting and examine what it indicates about the evolving women's basketball scene, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Are you ready to get started? Shaw's statements had Ree wriggling in her seat.
Angel Reese on the unapologetically clout-chasing Caitlyn Clark podcast. I think that's what it's called. Unapologetic clout-chasing of Caitlyn Clark podcast, hosted by Angel Reese.
Angel unapologetically. Angel was intended to be Reese's platform to shine a light on her personality outside of the basketball court and control the narrative. However, in a twist of irony that would make even the most accomplished satirist proud, the show has turned into an unexpected megaphone for Caitlyn Clark's greatness. In episode after episode, guests on Reese's podcast find themselves drawn into discussions about Clark frequently without any encouragement from the host herself. It's as though Clark's name has become a basketball genie called upon simply by discussing women's. Social media has been inundated with amusing responses to this recurrent theme from hoops lovers. One particularly clever comment proposed a rebranding that would welcome back to the Caitlyn Clark show.
Your host is me.
In several episodes of Angel Ree, discussions that begin on completely unrelated subjects eventually return to Clark's remarkable stats, game-changing plays, or influence on the sport.
So when you say Cheryl swoops Caitlyn Clark, it's like, oh my goodness, Cheryl doesn't like her, so let's see what this is about. And like, all of that's stupid to me. It's not true, it's all stupid. And also, now they may be mad when I say this, because it's funny to me. Like, when I look at the number 22s in the league, like I was 22, Asia's 22, Caitlyn's 22. Like, those are some hell of a good number 22s. And we're all a part of the Nike family.
Because of women's basketball, whenever you think of Angel Reese, people often mention Caitlyn Clark. You've said in interviews, there's no beef, but the media keeps going on. This is your platform, so how do you feel about that situation?
I think just being able to be in that moment of it happening, you never realize how something can literally change your life. And knowing my 5 fingers and my other finger pointing at my hand could literally have changed my life for like forever is crazy.
Though inadvertent, this continual comparison may be hurting Reese because Angel is attempting to draw attention to herself. So seeing someone else's name appear so frequently must be frustrating. The scenario has raised discussion among fans and analysts alike. As the episode progressed, the anticipation for Shaquille O'Neal's appearance on the podcast grew. Shaq, who is known for his unfiltered opinions and larger-than-life personality, seemed like the ideal guest to possibly shift the focus back to Reese. Some speculate that Reese may be purposefully using Clark's name to draw viewers and maintain relevance in the highly competitive world of women's basketball. Others see it as a reflection of Clark's undeniable impact on the sport, making her impossible to ignore even when she is not present.
Let's not get it twisted. I'm an angel all day. Like, I don't want people to turn it one way and then she think I'm turning my back on her.
Nobody realized that rather than giving Reese a break from the Clark parallels, Shaq's appearance would just heighten the irony. The unanticipated Clark acclaim would reach new heights with O'Neal on the show. The basketball, what was meant to be Reese's moment, was about to become another chapter in the Caitlyn Clark saga as legends changing perspective on Clark took center stage. It wasn't just about complimenting Clark, though. Shaq did not hold back while making some embarrassing and unplanned remarks about Reese. Here is a sneak peek of Shaq openly admitting that Reese didn't have a layup.
Oh, she can't be rookie of the year because all she do is do the flip shots, get rebound. Just remember all that shit that they say.
As we examine Shaq's appearance on the podcast, we'll look at how his journey from Clark skeptic to supporter unfolded in real time, in front of a visibly uncomfortable Angel Reese. In the high-stakes world of basketball, shifting your position can be interpreted as a sign of weakness, but when Shaquille O'Neal took the mic on Angel Reese's podcast, he was prepared to retract his statements. What might have changed this LSU loyalist and self-described Caitlyn Clark hater? If you've read this far and are enjoying the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, but let's get back to the action.
Why do you think people love Caitlyn Clark, besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
Shaw's transformation from Clark skeptic to believer is evidence of the transformational power of indisputable talent. First, O'Neal's devotion to LSU and his intimate bond with Angel Reese's assessment of Clark's skills was influenced by this bias, was especially noticeable when LSU defeated Iowa in the 2023 national title game. Shaq's skepticism of Clark's shooting ability was evident as he observed the game unfold. The Big Diesel's suspicion was ingrained in his relationship with LSU and his mentoring of Reese, and it wasn't only a passing moment of political support. Shaq found himself repeatedly retracting his statements in a moment of harsh honesty on Reese's podcast as a result of his allegiance to his alma mater and his protege, which originally prevented him from seeing Clark's extraordinary abilities. O'Neal acknowledged,
She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth.
The turning point for Shaq came when he saw Clark repeatedly prove him wrong. He elaborated on his realization by saying, if I say you're not going to hit that shot 10 times and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. This admission highlights the extent of Shaq's initial bias and lays the groundwork for his dramatic change of heart. This straightforward yet impactful statement perfectly captures Shaq's journey from skeptic to believer. It wasn't a single game or shot that made Shaq change his mind, but rather Clark's continuous excellence in the face of doubt. As Shaw's views on the basketball legend changed, so did his public remarks about her, changing from skepticism to admiration and reflecting a wider recognition of Clark's influence in the WNBA. It is impossible to overestimate the irony of Shaq's metamorphosis, as it was revealed on Angel Reese's podcast as O'Neal, Reese's mentor and backer, publicly praised her rival on her own program. This instance is a microcosm of the greater change taking place in women's basketball, where Clark's talent is making even the most ardent skeptics reevaluate their opinions.
Caitlyn plays the right way. I saw it. She makes the right play. Every time, not all the time, she makes her teammates better. She shoots the ball. She's a great player.
The tension in the virtual room was evident as Shaq got ready to discuss his newfound appreciation for Clark in greater detail on the podcast. You've invited your mentor onto your pod expecting praise and support, but he can't stop raving about your biggest competitor. That's exactly the awkward situation Angel Reese found herself in when Shaq took over her own show. Angel Reese had probably invited Shaq expecting support and mentorship, and she was about to watch her idol extol the virtues of her biggest so-called rival picture.
How impactful has your relationship been with Angel?
She's like a daughter to me, so I'm gonna protect her. I'll call her every now and then. And, just mess with her, but it's great. She's doing a great job.
The unabashed virtual studio of Angel was giddy with excitement. Fans waited for the basketball icon to perform, and Reese pulled off a huge coup by inviting Shaquille O'Neal as a guest. As the conversation began, Reese's smile was confident and bright, but it started to falter as Shaq cleared his script and launched into an unexpected monologue about Caitlyn Clark. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife, and as O'Neal's words filled the virtual space, she could shoot threes from a logo. They were praising the LSU star and giving wise counsel, but little did they know they were about to witness a masterclass in unintentional self-sabotage. Reese interrupted in an effort to minimize Clark's abilities and refocus the discussion on more secure topics.
Let's just start from the beginning. Why do you think people like Caitlyn Clark, besides her skill, because she can shoot logo threes? Angel Reese, do you understand the question that was been brought up to you? Why do they like her besides her skill? Shooting three is a skill. Are we having some comprehension issues that... Forget that.
However, Shaq remained unfazed and continued to speak with sincere appreciation, praising Clark's extraordinary skills with every second that went by. Reese's uneasiness became increasingly apparent. When Shaq started drawing similarities in a way that shocked basketball fans, the podcast took an even more awkward turn. O'Neal revealed shockingly that you are the female Antawn Jameson.
You know who you are? You're the female Antawn Jameson. You know who Antawn Jameson is? He got 20,000 points with his shot. Whatever your shot is. Like, everybody's shot ain't gonna be Steph Curry. Your shot is your shot.
It was a sharp contrast to the superstar treatment Reese had probably been anticipating when the comparison to Jameson, a player not generally considered a Hall of Famer, landed like a lead balloon.
She called her Antawn Jameson. Most people, trust me, she was offended.
She didn't know who that was.
She probably does. She's a basketball fan. She probably does. But, I mean, Antawn Jameson ain't cracking nobody's top 200 in NBA history. And this woman thinks she's one of the greatest WNBA players or greatest women's basketball player of all time.
As the episode went on, it became more and more obvious that this was not the mentorship moment Reese had envisioned. Rather than providing direction and support to his protege, Shaq seemed more interested in singing Clark's praises, which summed up the awkward situation perfectly. Shaq was telling Reese that Caitlyn Clark was better than Reese to her face. The irony of the situation was not lost on viewers, as what was supposed to be a platform for Reese to showcase her personality and accomplishments had turned into yet another stage for Clark's developing legend. Social media was ablaze with reactions, with some fans joking that Clark should be the show's actual host given her frequent mentions.
Shaq just called her a role player, not a star, certainly not a superstar, not a legend. Hey, you remind me of Antawn Jameson. Oh, nice player. Put up 20,000 points. No one's really heard of him. I think Antawn played at North Carolina. Anyway, Shaq slams Angel Reese to her.
The ramifications of what had transpired were clear as the podcast came to an end. This wasn't simply a strange conversation. Rather, it was a microcosm of how women's basketball was changing. Even among the sport's biggest performers, Shaw's unexpected compliment of Clark on Reese's own show demonstrated the indisputable influence Clark was having. The episode's aftermath was fans and quick-witted basketball pundits alike noted the irony of Reese's podcast becoming a forum for Clark's adulation remarks, with one especially scathing comment pointing out that 6 consecutive episodes featured Caitlyn. As the dust settled on this unfortunate podcast episode, it became evident that its influence would go far beyond a single bad interview, strengthening the idea that Clark's popularity had eclipsed Reese's show. The episode was a clear example of how Clark's influence was changing women's basketball, making even well-known players take notice of her. Growing notoriety when he sees talent, Shaquille O'Neal recognizes it. He also recognizes a baller. The unanticipated development on an occasion as we dig further into the shifting attitudes of WNBA legends toward Caitlyn Clark, it becomes clear that Angel had unintentionally brought attention to a larger change taking place within the sport, and that this podcast incident was only the beginning of a sea of changing views regarding the newest player in women's basketball. The WNBA legends' journey from skepticism to devotion, and their thoughts on Caitlyn Clark read like a dramatic sports tale. Former vocal critic Diana Taurasi now sings a different song. What seismic events led to this monumental shift in the landscape of women's basketball? She is the transformation of WNBA legends' perceptions of Caitlyn Clark. At first, many coaches and established players viewed Clark's hype with skepticism, possibly viewing her as a passing fad or the result of excessive media exposure. However, as Clark continued to dominate on the court, even the most adamant critics found their resolve crumbling in the face of undeniable talent. Diana Taurasi, a WNBA legend in her own right, is a prime example of this significant change. Tough competition and high expectations, Taurasi has abruptly reversed previous concerns and is now among Clark's most outspoken supporters. Taurasi now publicly acknowledges Clark's contributions to the sport and the awareness she provides for women's basketball. This shift in perspective from such a well-respected individual carries a lot of weight in the basketball community.
Shaquille O'Neal knows talent when he sees it. Shaquille O'Neal knows a baller when he sees it.
The Minnesota Lynx head coach, Cheryl Reeve, has also joined the chorus of people who think highly of Clark. Reeve's support is especially noteworthy because of her vast background in creating top tier. She has notably emphasized Clark's play style and her capacity to attract fans as key components for the WNBA's expansion. Reeve's remarks highlight Clark's unique ability, as well as her capacity to improve.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. What Caitlyn's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable. The one thing that I really love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in. And even, throughout, her short WNBA career, it's been a lot of pressure, a lot of things thrown at her. And, she keeps showing up and keeps getting better every single game. So her future is super bright. And, being a veteran and being in this league for a long, long time, it's pretty cool to see that and, going into the future.
The effects of Clark's performances are not limited to. Beyond just words of appreciation, Clark's play on the court has produced real outcomes for the WNBA, as games starring her have attracted noticeably larger crowds than in previous seasons. This increase in attendance is hard proof of Clark's star power and her capacity to captivate both ardent supporters and casual observers as the basketball world continues to change. The world is in uncharted territory as a result of the unanimous praise from former skeptics like Shaquille O'Neal and the steadfast support of long-standing WNBA players. This is forming a new narrative around Clark, who is no longer just a media darling or a promising freshman, but is now acknowledged as a transformative force in women's basketball. The implications of this shift in perception are extensive, as more game legends support Clark, which not only validates her abilities, but also establishes a new benchmark for excellence in women's basketball. One question remains as we witness this seismic shift in the basketball landscape. What's next for Caitlyn Clark and the WNBA, with legends supporting her and an expanding fan base eagerly following her every move? The changing narrative surrounding Clark is reshaping expectations for what's possible in the sport, possibly inspiring the next generation of players to push their boundaries even further. Clark is in a position to guide women's basketball into a new phase of prominence and popularity. More than just breaking records, Caitlyn Clark's ascent is changing the face of women's basketball. Her indisputable talent has compelled even the most obstinate skeptics to reconsider their positions, as demonstrated by Shaw's remarkable comeback. Beyond the court, Clark's influence is inspiring a new generation of players and fans. As she gets ready for her second season with the Indiana Fever, the WNBA's future appears brighter than ever. Her capacity to attract large crowds and captivate audiences is expected to propel the league to new heights, with legends praising her and increasing viewership. On the rise, Clark has the potential to be the spark that propels women's basketball into the public eye, possibly bringing about a golden age for the sport. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.